This video is sponsored by PoketownStore.com, the place for all your Pokemon TCG online needs. This is a fantastic website if you want to start your online collection or if you're just looking for a specific code. Look at all these code cards that they offer. Definitely check it out, PoketownStore.com, and use the coupon code ZapdosTCG for 5% off your next order. Also, this video is sponsored by CardMarket.com. If you're a European player, you're obligated to check out this website. You can sell your own cards or purchase from people all across Europe, so this is a fantastic platform. I use it personally every day, and let's for example check out this Bossasaurus. You can see in time when the price is right and get notified when it has a specific amount of money. So at this point, €3.28 for a Bossasaurus. What a bargain sale right here. So definitely check out both of my sponsors. You'll definitely help me out with that a lot. What's up YouTube, it's ZapdosTCG here and welcome back to another TCG video on my channel. In this video we're actually going to be talking about all the decks from Ultra Prism all the way to Rebel Clash, that format, which decks are actually going to be lost after rotation. So lots of these decks in the format will rotate. Think about Malamar instantly vanished, all the attackers from Malamar are gone, as well as like Malamar as the main card itself. There's a lot of things we should know is that I'm also going to be making like a new tier list of the new decks coming up. This is like a prediction tier list because we don't have official tournaments and statistics just yet. This video will just be all about which decks survive the rotation, and we're also going to take a look at certain decks that need to adapt because they will lose a couple of key puzzle piece cards that they will miss for sure. Okay, without further ado, let's get this video on the road. This is actually LimitlessTCG.com, the best place for you to check out deck lists. And we're gonna start off with Zacian. Zacian is a deck that is available in a couple of variants. As you can see, we have Zacian ADP, Straight Zacian, and then Zacian Lucario Melmetal. I think if we look at the Straight Zacian, like the Turbo Zacian, using the Jirachi Prism Star, that deck automatically is no longer viable. We still keep Mr. Mime, but the problem is that we cannot get the combo off with Wish Upon a Star of a Jirachi Prism Star. So you can scratch that off the meta instantly. So I think Zacian can still survive by using cards like Galarian Berserker. This is a card from Sword and Shield, I think Rebel Clash, that actually makes sure that the... or is it just Sword and Shield? We just have to check that. Anyhow, this is the Galarian... Yeah, it's just Sword and Shield, yeah. Galarian Berserker, making sure that your metal types dish out 20 more damage to the opponent's active Pokemon. So you could be playing Zacian with a couple of these Galarian Berserkers and maybe Vitality Band and try to get the numbers that way. So that is an option you can go for. So Zacian can be built into like a couple of variants. The Galarian Berserker variant, the Lucario Melmetal variant is still also viable. I think it does not lose a lot. The Turbo Zacian is gone, which is unfortunate. So what can we see here? Most of these cards we keep. Lucario Melmetal being able to like use Full Metal Wall GX, so you're tankier. We lose Metal Frying Pan. A Metal Frying Pan is a huge deal for this kind of an archetype because it removes the weakness, and seeing as Scorch V Max is very promising, as we've seen before. I already did a deck profile on that deck. I think this is worrisome. You could be running Weak Guard Energy, but running Weak Guard Energy on a Zacian, which actually needs 3 physical copies, actually 3 copies of the Metal Energy. I don't think that's going to be the best approach. You could do that if you have a little bit of luck with your Intrepid Swords. Maybe you're running more energies and do play the Weak Guard Energy, but I'm not a big fan of that. Also, we do have Giratina from Unifying Minds, which can get rid of special energies with the Dimension Breach. I think it's Unifying Minds, if I'm not mistaken. What else can we see here? Most of these cards we do keep. They're still finny if you're afraid of the Blacephalon matchup. Blacephalon still survives, by the way. We're gonna check that out very shortly. We lose the Duskmane Necroza with the Dusk Shot, but as less and less GX is being played, that's not the biggest issue in the world. So this deck does survive, but will have to come with the problem of its weakness, and that's the Metal Frying Pan being rotated. You can still have Crushing Hammers, still being tanky as ever. You may be running the Wondrous Labyrinth, slowly pulling opponent down even further. The deck still survives. So you can run Zacian Lucario Melmetal, or you could be running Zacian with the Galarian Berserkers, or the best variant, of course, is still with ADP. I think ADP Zacian is still in the format and does not lose a lot. The good news is that Ultra Creation Jax is still as powerful as ever. We now get Turbo Patch. Turbo Patch does not work on ADP not on GXs anyhow. But you can still use the turbo patch on Zacian, making the Zacian stronger. So yeah, faster, being able to use that Brave Blade attack. And we also, with combination of Metal Saucer and the turbo patch card, for people that don't know what turbo patch does, flip a coin of heads, accelerate the basic energy to one of your basic Pokemon except GXs. It does not state on the bench, so you can also accelerate to the active, which is awesome. So that turbo patch activation stuff can work out, maybe play more energy switches and get Ultra Creation Jacks off as quickly as possible. You're still a 3-prizer, and Eternatus V Max might just get the better of you, but let's say they go first, you go second, get Ultra Creation GX off. Yeah, if they are really quick, they can knock you out, so that's a little bit worrisome. I think Tag Team GXs in general get pushed out a little bit thanks to Eternatus V Max. I think most of them are becoming unplayable because Eternatus V Max will be the top tier deck. But this deck still has lots of things going for it, like using Ultra Creation Jacks and decks, and it is definitely in a new format where the decks are not up to date, meaning that they are not the perfect list just yet, and then ADP can punish decks that do not function as well, or they have consistency issues. Okay, although don't forget, you could be using the Toughness Cloak on ADP, so you can have 330 HP, and that will definitely survive against the Eternatus. So yeah, maybe you go with that. Maybe they don't run Tool Scrapper, your ADP survives, use Ultra Creation Jacks and just hunt after those Crobats, because Eternatus VMAX does play lots of Crobats on the bench, and you can just say, oh yeah, those 2 Crobats, that's my win con right there. You use Zacian again, lots of gusting will be necessary, but ADP Zacian's still a very strong contender in my opinion, so that's good to know. One version of Zacian is excluded, so the Turbo Zacian is gone, even though that one qualifier from Limitless TCG. Pikarom, yeah, where can I start with Pikarom? Pikarom is one of those decks that has been around for ages. We've seen it like 2 years ago in the World Championships being revealed. Now it's still in the format everywhere. And we also make sure that, yeah, it's a tag team. This is very scary. Even with Toughness Cloak, Eternatus V Max with 2 Galarian Zigzagoon Snipes can make quick work of this. I don't think it's going to be viable, since Eternatus V Max is still like, this is the gatekeeper, right? Eternatus V Max saying, oh, you're a tag team, except ADP, which survives the casual attack of Eternatus V Max. That's actually the gatekeeper. Tag team GXs will no longer be viable unless Eternatus V Max is not as popular as I think. But it will be as popular as I think. It will be everywhere. So I think Pikarom becomes unplayable. Why is that? We lose Thunder Mountain, so your Goose Hala package is not as good as it seems. Even though you can get Speed Lightning Energy, you cannot grab your Thunder Mountain anymore. Also, I think Pikarom loses Electro Power, and that means the damage output is ridiculously bad. Think about this Pikarom. Max damage output 200. Even with Vitality Band, that Tag Bolt GX cannot even take down a Zacian. Yeah, Pikarom, I'm sorry to say this, but you're not as good. Yeah, I think Pikarom will be dead. So sell your Pikaroms while you're at it. I don't think it will be good. People might just try it out and use like more Bolton Vs to just use Electrify, Full Blitz and all that, to then attack with Bolt Storm for a huge one-hit KO. But at that point, you're already gonna be losing so much Pokemon that yeah, Eternatus will eat you up. Even Centiskorch, just way better. There are better decks out there, and they also are pushing VMAXs to the top tables right now, because I don't think Pikarom is viable, so discard that. Pikarom is gone. Next up is Mew Mew. Mew Mew is a difficult one because you have so many variants. The Malamar variant, of course, completely gone. You don't have Malamar anymore. The Ultimate Mew Mew using Solgaleo with the Soul Burst, completely gone. We don't have that card. And the Welder build is the only Mewtwo build that survives. So as you can see here, we have straight Mewtwo, Ultimate Mewtwo, Firebox Mewtwo. So I think the only one that survives is like the Welder build. The reason for that is, yeah, you still keep Giant Heart, which is the main card getting energies from the deck. You still keep most of your attackers. But the problem is Solgaleo GX, so I don't think Mewtwo is probably going to be a tier 3 archetype, getting reduced in play immensely, just because, yeah, you are a Mewtwo, so you get one-shot by Eternatus. Again, you're attacking, which is not good. They take 3 prize cards for that. You could be running it with like Island Challenge Amulet to put it to a 2-prizer, I guess, but as soon as they play Tool Scrapper, that's also not a good idea. Also, your HP gets reduced by 100, so I don't know. Reshizar, we still keep that. Solgaleo is a difficult part because most of the time you just Welder onto Mewtwo, and just attack. But if you cannot get that turbo strike attack off, you cannot like accelerate to the bench. So as soon as your Mewtwo goes down, you need to be keeping Welder. So maybe playing the other Mewtwo to with Scoop Up Nest so you can have more Welders. I think you need to Welder every single time, and I think as the attacks are not as good, you need like 4 energies for the Flare Strike, which is a little bit much to ask for if your active Mewtwo dies instantly to in turn. There's also Macargo GX, leaving the format, make sure that Lava Flow, an attack that yeah, can dish out endless amount of damage depending on how many energies you have, is gone. Stinger GX is also gone. I don't know where it is. Yeah, there's a lot of cards rotating from the Mewtwo list. Welder decks will survive, even like Latios GX, not as good anymore. Tag teams will become less viable. Yeah, has been seen a lot of play with a lot of cards. But I think Mew, I think tier 3 archetype, you can still make it work, like you can Welder onto a Mewtwo and start copying, maybe with Aurora Energy as well. Copying some crazy attacks, but I don't think is any good. I think putting at tier 3, so it still hangs in there. Pikarom is completely gone in my opinion, but this might still survive with Toughness Cloak. Your Mewtwo has more HP and could survive. And last, like, yeah, except for like Pikarom. Pikarom will only have 290 HP with Toughness Cloak and can still get one-shot, which is ridiculous. So Mewtwo becomes a tier 3 archetype. Never thought I'd say that. Next up, my personal favorite deck, and that's going to be Blacephalon. Blacephalon is one of my favorite decks. You should know by now, since I did countless tournaments with Blacephalon and see a lot of success with the deck. What can we say? You still don't play the Green's Exploration list. The reason for that is that Marnie is everywhere. You can still rely on Jirachi. We still have Oricorio GX, we still have the Danny, we still have Cramorant. The only card, actually attacker, that we're missing is Blacephalon, so closing off games will become a little bit more difficult. Maybe you play more energy retrievals. It all depends, because sometimes you're gonna run out of energies just because you cannot close off the game, and with V Maxes being everywhere, maybe you play like 1 copy of Boss's Orders and just make sure you can gust for your last prize cards. Who knows? Also, Victini Prism Star is gone, but that actually was not included in the latest builds of Baby Blounce. Yeah, I think most of the good cards we keep, which is awesome. Maybe you can play the Ninetales V now, so we can copy the opponent's strong attacks. For instance, if you're up against Salamence, you can suddenly out of nowhere use Ninetales V to copy its attack. What else can I say is that Blacephalon still survives. The reason is Heat Factory is gone, as well as the Fiery Flint, but we do still get the Giant Heart. Giant Heart is still here, Welder is still here, Fire Crystal is still here, Energy Retrieval still here. Only card, Fiery Flint, so maybe relying on Energy Spinners instead. This is still a tier 1 archetype because Blacephalon can still explode on VMAX, and seeing as VMAX is being pushed, more like 3 prize Pokemon in the format, this spells out good news for Baby Blounce. I think playing more Lucky X will now be like mandatory to just draw into your energies and into your Energy Spinners or whatever. Always go second with a list like this, and I think you shouldn't be having any troubles. I know Ultra Space is gone, but try to play the maximum copies, like 4 copies of Blacephalon, and maybe playing an Ordinary Rod as well. Beastbringer will no longer be necessary. I think people will grab to Crobat V, and there's lots of VMAX decks out there, but I think Lucky Egg is nice. I know Acrobike also is not around anymore, but this is only seen playing in my version of the deck, so if we can see here, I'm actually the most successful Blacephalon player, which is awesome. If we just check out Blacephalon, if you check out the deck, I've got the most successful players here, just above Stefan Ivanov. So Blacephalon, my favorite deck, and I will make it work. Mark my words. Still top tier archetype. Blacephalon's not going anywhere. So as you can see, sell your Mewtwo's, sell your Pikaroms. Zacian is still good. Blacephalon is still good. Then, Balelbam, Bryson Man. This deck completely is rotated. We don't have an Oranguru anymore, so this is gonna be sad. You cannot use Oranguru. Ditto is gone. Persian is still a thing, but yeah, without Ditto, it's not as splashable. People could gust up Meowth instantly. Yeah, this deck does not survive. Also, it loses lots of its things like Lucamine, Faba, all the good cards, Mars, so I don't think this deck survives. Mill is gone, actually Control is gone, I should say. Mill could be updated with, of course, the new Toxtricity card from Darkness Ablaze, but yeah. Mill is not good anymore. We've seen that Mill was not good ever since Boss's Orders got released, and Dracopult was everywhere. Talking about Dracopult, yeah, Dracopult. What can I say? Dracopult is a tier 1 archetype, it's very good, low maintenance, for 2 energies, doing so much stuff. I think it will still be a deck, but it will not be a top tier deck. I think it's going to be dropped down to a tier 2 deck. It's going to be having good matchups against those decks that don't hit your weakness. Eternatus will eat it up for sure. So if you're having, it's going to be the same scenario like playing Gardevoir, Sylveon Tag Team Jax in a meta full of Firebox. And those tournaments were there, and then Gardevoir wins the entire thing because it dodges all those Firebox matchups. Same scenario with Dragapult. Dragapult's still good, and the only thing it actually loses is like Treasure. Maybe playing Pokécoms, it could be good. Evolution Incense, also getting your Dragapult V Max out of the deck. Treasure is actually a little bit sad because your tech cards like Giratina, the one from Unified Minds, that discards special energies is no longer too searchable, and also Giratina here with the Distortion Door is rotated. That's something the deck might miss. Other than that, I think it's still surviving. Also, the Malamar builds of Dragapult are completely gone, so no more acceleration for your Dragapult V Max, but you could be playing Rose Tower and the Rose engine so you can accelerate at once, because this is low maintenance. Sometimes you just know you're gonna take a lot of prize cards. You can rely to Rose to just accelerate energy. I know you have to discard your hand, but if you're taking multiple prize cards, you stack up your hand again with some cards. So I think Dragapult V Max still survives, and it will be a good deck. Maybe relying on Crushing Hammer. I think the only thing here is that if you're playing Dragapult, you are obligated to play Crushing Hammer, or your win con against Eternatus V Max becomes 0. Yeah, pretty scary, right? But other than that, I think the deck is still good against a lot of decks in the format. Lower down to tier 2 because Eternatus V Max is so popular. Next up, Oranguru Control, saying the same thing here. It does not survive because Oranguru is gone. Reshizard. Actually, yeah, we're just gonna talk about Spiritomb real quick. Spiritomb is a deck that survives but has to adapt and is also losing speed. So instead of like a tier 1.5 archetype, it goes down to a tier 2 archetype because it loses the Hustle Belt, and the Shrine of Punishment as well. So Shrine of Punishment taking in some damage on things like Dedenne, or maybe your own Dedenne, so you can actually swap that damage with Jinx onto your own Spiritomb. That is gone, so that's not going to be a thing you could do anymore. Hustle Belt, making sure you smack 60 extra damage is gone, making it a little bit difficult to hit the numbers early on. So maybe you rely on those new Hoopas that swing into the active position and smack 90 damage if they came from the bench. So that could be a thing. Hoopa early on while you set up your Spiritomb. So Spiritomb still survives. And you also have the Toughness Cloak. As soon as you know that if the opponent is not playing down Tool Scrapper, if you know they're not playing Tool Scrapper, you can actually abuse this, because out of nowhere, if you have the Toughness Cloak onto your Spiritomb, you have 110 HP. That means you can smack 310 damage with your Spiritomb, and that's actually ridiculous. Pair that with some Galarian Zigzagoon snipes, and you could actually be one-shotting huge VMAXs with Spiritomb, but it does take a while. So Spiritomb, and then using Jinx a couple of times. Jinx is also still not rotating, which is awesome. It does lose like its cute Ultra Beasts like Nightgaligo and Buzzwole, but other than that, the deck still is fine, and it will have to be afraid of stuff like the Tool Scrapper, because Toughness Cloak is the only way you can get a significant amount of damage output with Spiritomb. Yeah, definitely put in some Hoopas for the early pressure. You can knock out easy Jirachis with that. So I think it still survives. So Spiritomb is good. Blacephalon good. Zacian good. Mewtwo Pikarom bad. Mill Control bad. And now Reshizard. Reshizard is a deck, of course, relying on Welder, Jirachi, Dedenne, all that good stuff we got familiar with. Even Green's Exploration is with Reshizard a thing you could do. Yeah, you have fire boxes and all that, but this is the Green's Exploration. Yeah, straight. Then we have the firebox. Okay, the straight one available in a league battle deck. Does lose custom catcher and all that, so you cannot gust so as easily anymore with Green's Exploration. Yeah, though I will not ever play a deck like this, because as soon as your Reshizard goes down, you will need to find another Welder, and they could be playing Marnie. I don't think this deck is going to be any good, although. And also the Reset Stamp Plant combo is not as solid as it seems, because everybody will be going over that Crobat V. Yeah, Crobat V is not affected by Power Plant, and also I should note is that Fiery Flint thinned out the deck, so your Green's Exploration, actually your Pokegears hit more often, and this is not the case anymore. And now talking about the Firebox version. This is the version I actually love playing most. You just have 4 Jirachi, lots of Dedennes. You still have Ninetales, so your Gust is still around, but the bad news about this entire archetype that Thor Dracliff put on the map at the World Championships is Victini Prism Star. With Victini Prism Star, your late game sweeper that dishes out like 300 damage at one point, depending on how many energies there are in the discard pile. is gone. So you now are obligated to play 4 fire crystals or you're gonna be running out of energies. The good news is Ninetales is still around, so you can gust until your heart is content. And we still have Heatran GX, which also is very, very good. I think you will have to grab onto those Volcanions here, because that Flare Starter will be very, very useful. And also, without the use of like stuff like Turtonator, which explodes into the opponent's face, as well as losing Victini Prism Star, I don't know. We lose a lot of our 1-prizers. Maybe new 1-prizers get released, but using a Welder and Attach of turn for 3 energies and then dishing out a huge amount of damage is going to become a little bit more difficult. Maybe you play Ninetales V, definitely Victini V for sure. And lots of these Volcanions, so you can use it early on and then like use Flare Starter and then Welder onto something. Reshizard can still smack 300 damage. I know that's still not as impressive because V Maxes have a huge amount of HP, but if they somehow, with their V Max, you can actually Flare Strike and yeah, knock out our basic V. Yeah. I don't know how to feel about this. It's a Welder deck. Heatran is still good, but I would be playing Blacephalon. You could be playing a mix though. You could be playing Jirachi, Dene, still the Ninetales gusting shenanigans, but playing 3 Blacephalons in here, as well as playing like the Cramorant and the Volcanion and all that. It's gonna be like a firebox. I think it's still good, tier 2, I think, but definitely include Blacephalon and some fire crystals in here, and then you should be good. You're mostly gonna turn into a baby Blounciless, but you still have other attackers in the form of Heatran GX, Victini V, Ninetales V. Okay. That being said, let's go to the next decks. Actually, that's Welder Box. Yeah, that was actually something I said. I'm actually gonna open up Welder Box once again because this was the exact same thing I mentioned. Yeah, we still keep stuff like Torkoal V, could be coming more in the list, and also Houndoom V is a new card from Darkness Ablaze that could actually see its use. Double V as a late game finisher could also be included. So lots of 2-prizers that the Firebox gets, but it loses lots of 1-prizers in the form of Turtonator and Victini Prism Star. With that being said, definitely put in some Blacephalons in here and you should be good to go. Next up, Obstagoon. I don't know. I really don't know. Obstagoon using Obstruct is not as powerful as it seems because lots of V Maxes will be in the format. It will still have auto wins against Blacephalon decks. Although Blacephalon, yeah, now definitely, the matchup against Blacephalon is now completely auto-win. In the past, they could do stuff like Bursting Burn of their Blacephalon GX. Now that it's gone, so you have an auto-win against Blacephalon. It all depends on how many basic decks there will still be in the format, in the form of like ADPization. You also will have a good matchup against that, but as soon as you're up against like a VMAX deck, which are going to be popular, like the Centiskorch and the Fantastic Eternatus V Max, you're gonna lose instantly. Unless you like rely more on Sableye V. But that's also a little bit clunky. You could be playing Turbo Patch. It's on a coin flip, but I don't know. I think Obstagoon lowers down to tier 4 or tier... I don't know. I don't think it's good. Although Galarian Zigzagoon is still busted as ever. Maybe you play a pure Sableye V deck instead of relying on Obstagoon, because Obstagoon is not as powerful as it used to be. Moving forward, Malamar is completely gone. This is a deck that saw play ever since its release in Forbidden Light, but look at that. We lose our Giratina, we lose our Mimikyu, which was still a promo, we lose the power of Latios GX, which shuts down GX moves, but seeing as a lot of people do not play GX anymore, that's bad. You lose your Ditto Prism Star, you lose your Malamar line, it spells out bad news. Malamar is completely gone, finally. Magcargo, attacking Magcargo deck also is rotating out of the format. With Magcargo GX and of course the one from Celestial Storm putting a card on top of the deck. This entire deck is gone. Even Ditto helping out as a 5th basic deck is entirely gone. So yeah, I'm gonna be giving like a side note on what you can sell because I don't think it's good. But Behem, what can we see here is that Blow Away Bombs will be fantastic in a format with lots of Galarian Zigzagoons on the bench. That's gonna be nice. We pretty much keep everything in this kind of a deck, except for Ditto, unfortunately, but it's not the biggest issue in the world. This is still a deck that I'm very fond of. Shrine of Punishment is gone, don't care about that. Maybe play some Chaotic Swells. Treasure is gone. That means you definitely need to rely on Evolution Incense, which could not be a bad thing. We are still already running Evolution Incense. Up that up to like 4 copies instead. I know, or maybe Communications and all that. You do run a lot of Pokemon in this kind of a list. Item blocking is very fantastic, and the only card like I'm also seeing that is missing like Cynthia and Tantaliza. Maybe you play like Research. I know you might discard your triple accelerated energies, but play the maximum copies and you should be good. Item block Behemoth is still a thing. It might even become better as time goes on, because you spread so much damage with the blow away bombs, which is fantastic. So it does survive. Then that's about it. I'm also going to check out the latest qualifiers in the Rebel Clash scenario format. Pikarom gone, Dracopult survives but gets lowered down in Tierra. Control is gone, Blacephalon still as good as broken as ever. Obstagoon is no longer going to be a threat, because lots of your matchups will become V Max matchups. Green's Pikarom, yeah, Thunder Mountain is gone, so this is also not good. As mentioned, Eternatus V Max actually pushes out the tag teams in the format. ADPization still going to be as consistent as ever, very nice. That does appreciate the inclusion of Turbo Patch. Spiritomb ADP, this is a deck we haven't seen. This is actually Ross Cotton's favorite deck. Luxray, also gonna check that out. We have not checked that out. Cinderace, I don't know if that is going to be a good deck nevertheless, but Cinderace was good because Dracopult is not a one-shotting machine. Also gonna check out some Excadrill action. All the rest, yeah, maybe some Rillabooms as well. And that's about it. All the rest we talked about here. So yeah, Spiritomb, this is Spiritomb ADP. Spiritomb ADP keeps all of its cards. Yeah, except for Super Scoop Up, which was a huge deal to get ADP out. So if you're still relying on ADP, you're actually going to be giving up a huge prize Pokemon. And also Spiritomb needs a whole lot more time to set up. So I think Spiritomb ADP is not as good as it seemed. So yeah, the Hustle Bell was very, very important in a list like this to just go instantly. Without that, I don't think it's going to be too good. Go with the straight Spiritomb and the Hoopa list. Luxray here loses the Shink, so it's unplayable. Cinderace V Max keeps most of its cards. Actually, everything. Keeps everything of the attackers. Research, Welder, Quick Ball Switch, Pokegear, Reset Stamp, Fire Crystals, Great Ball, Skateboard, Giant Heart, Melolana, Bosworth, Big Charm, Heat Factory. The only card that misses is Heat Factory. So this just added up to like another supporter, or maybe, yeah, maybe playing a Marnie in here could not hurt. We'll see. Cinderace V Max survives, so if you're playing this deck, it's still a tier 3 archetype, but it still survives, so you might have some fun with it, right? Although Eternatus V Max smacks for a huge amount of damage, you could counter and then use Hyper Potions to heal off. Excadrill had a good matchup against Pikarom, does hit the weakness against Eternatus V Max, but does not one-shot unless you have 3 or fewer cards in your deck. You're gonna have to play lots of the Dennis. Acrobike is also gone and all that. You can no longer rely on Substrika. I wonder if this deck will even survive. You need to discard as many cards as possible. The Danny GX, discarding them, I don't know. The Danny Research, it could be good, but the problem is also the Prism Star is gone, and Substrika is gone, so your discard engine is gone. Maybe you play something like Chinchino instead. You discard a card, you draw 2 cards until you have a low amount of cards in the hand. Could be the thing, could be a thing. Like a 4-4 line of Excadrill, 4-4 line of Chinchino, lots of like Great Balls, Quick Balls, Communications. And then you try to get this working. As soon as you get like a low amount of cards in your deck, definitely considering the fact that nobody's going to be playing Balelba and Bryson Man anymore, except for like maybe those Rogue Toxtricity decks, you should be good if you can get this off. These 11th hour tackle smacks 180 damage. And that's enough to one-shot an Eternatus V Max, which is so awesome. Because of the typing, I would say it still survives, but it needs some adapts. You need to adapt with Chinchinos. Rillaboom pretty much keeps everything if I'm looking at first glance. Netball, yeah, it loses Netball, so you have to rely on 4 Quick Ball now, as well as Communications. Other than that, you pretty much keep everyone. Oh yeah, Energy Recycler, huge big deal for this deck. It was not good to begin with, and losing Energy Recycler means at one point you run out of energies, and that's also Life Force. Prism Star is gone, so I will never play Rillaboom in a meta with Centiskorch and Baby Blounce for sure. This was qualifier number 4. I think these are all the same decks, right? Yeah, I'm also gonna check out Ultimate Mew Mew real quick, because we know that the Soul Burst GX attack is no longer a thing. Toxtricity V Max, also gonna check that out real quick. Yeah, I'm checking out all the lists, by the way. You need to know everything. Everything is up to date. Okay, Solgaleo Soulburst is gone. Blastoise still survives. Most of your attackers, yeah, Zeraora GX and Xerneas are gone. Greninja GX, I don't know if this still survives, but you should need that for the Decidueye, by the way. If it doesn't survive, Mewtwo is just unplayable, I think. Yeah, I would never play Mew Mew in the post-rotation format. There's Toxtricity V Max. It loses Thunder Mountain. Most of the cards that keep... Wow, who's running Pokeball in a list like this? Marnie. Yeah, Thunder Mountain and Acrobike are cards that are very important. Other than that, yeah, it also loses Zeraora, so sometimes you could be stuck in the active. You also need way too much energies, and it only smacks 240 damage if the opponent is poisoned, so I don't think it survives, unfortunately. Toxtricity not as good. Then the Invitational, most decks we covered already. Yeah, look at that, Baby Brown. Ooh. And then the Kickoff Invitational, most decks we already covered. So, let me know in the comment section what you think about the post-rotation decks. Which ones like rotate that you are gonna miss? Which ones are still playable that you like? Let me know your opinions down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe for more content, and I will see you guys in the next video very shortly. Peace out.